Welcome to In the Notsam Studio, our conversation series on the Notsam YouTube channel. While you're here, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, hit the bell, hit like, do everything you need to do, because today's guest is YouTuber, musician, internet historian, Justin Whang. Justin Whang has become one of my favorite YouTubers, starting as a guy who was kind of in the gaming sphere, but narrowing in on what has become his niche, and that is telling the stories of some of the memes that we remember from the internet 15 years ago. I got to talk to the man known as Whang about going in this direction with his channel.
So my channel in its early stages, I kind of really didn't know what I wanted to do. I did some gameplay videos, videos where like I was trying different foods, but then I was like, oh, you know what? I remember a lot of these weird old internet stories. Let me try to make some videos on these.
Some of his favorite memes that he's gotten to cover.
I did Alex Chu and his immortality rings. He wound up finding the video and liking it and sending me immortality rings.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I feel like I'm still dying though, so I don't know how much they help.
And yes, clearly being a big wrestling fan.
The FMW is back.
I know.
FMW is back.
Onita's bringing back FMW, except now he's adding an E, so it's like FMW, but more explosion.
Justin Whang has taken the excrement that the internet leaves behind and turned it into YouTube gold. And that's why today he is in the Notsam Studio.
One of my favorite YouTubers. He's a musician. And I personally, and I think this is why he's one of my favorite YouTubers, I feel like he's an internet historian. And I think that not only is he providing good content, but I sit there after I watch some of these videos and I go, it's good for our society that this exists. Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Whang is here. Welcome, Justin.
Thanks, Sam. Good for our society. That might be the first time I've ever heard my channel described as such,
Well,
but I appreciate that.
So follow me here. This isn't just me blowing smoke or trying to think of the nicest thing I could think of to say. There's logic behind this. So like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
like,
Yeah.
y-
Absolutely. Like, I'm assuming like most of your audience has no idea who I am.
Maybe.
But, maybe some of them might, but I feel like most of them don't. But so basically, like my channel is I do a bunch of different things, but largely the biggest draw of the channel, I guess, is the weird old internet stories. Some of it, like I have one that I'm working on right now that it's about. Do you ever use the site YTMND?
Of course. I mean, I
Yeah.
did. I don't currently, but yeah, I'm yeah. YTMND was like that was like a mainstay in our office, like 2005-ish, probably 2005, 2006, 2007-ish.
Oh yeah, that was peak
Yeah.
YTMND years.
Yeah, lots of it. That's where
So-
Lonely Virgil started.
Did it? Oh, it is.
Yeah, because it was
it?
all by
I
myself.
remember.
All by myself was playing behind that image of him at Comic-Con.
Holy shit, you're right.
Yeah.
And then someone made like a whole blog with all of the Lonely Virgil images of which there are many.
You want to know who made that blog?
Who?
Me.
Oh my god, are you serious?
Yeah, Lonely
Is this like a
Virgil.
known fact, or are you
I'm
doing the reveal now?
I mean, it's somewhat known. Like, I've never hidden it, but also never took any. Like, it doesn't have my name anywhere on the site or anything. I didn't like merch it out or anything like that. I just, lonelyvirgil.net
Oh damn.
or whatever. Yeah, that's my site. Yeah. Yeah.
Damn, that's we just uncovered right at the beginning already a buried piece of internet lore.
Yeah, I kind of wanted it to be that way too. Like that somebody like you would find it because you loved the story so much, and one day our paths would cross, and I could be like, yeah, I put that website together one day because I thought it was hilarious.
Hell yeah. It was meant to be.
Yeah.
The one I'm working on, it's about Punch the Keys, for God's sake. And
Great.
all like the little like splinter universes that came after that, like Yes Yes, and then the fourth corner one where people can't really decide which is the correct one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like your series, Tales from the Internet, is important because like there's so many documentaries that you see about pop culture stuff, like whether it's about music or like people love going like, here's this documentary about all the TV shows that were popular in the 80s. And like, here's, 7 hours about the show Friends that everybody loved. But like, there's this time, the early 2000s, where like memes weren't really so like you wouldn't hear about memes
Yeah.
on the news. but they were still prevalent. Like a main source of entertainment for an entire generation of people is this early internet stuff. And I feel like those stories aren't getting told outside of YouTubers like you and like Wavy Web Surf and people like that.
Yeah, it's funny too because it's one of those things where every once in a while you do see some more mainstream coverage of it, and a lot of the time when you do see that, you're like, wait a second, like that's not actually how it went down. You're like telling, I was there, you're telling it different from how it was.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, in some ways it's kind of like also kind of like correcting the record on some of these things.
Well, yeah, because it's also like I feel like if you didn't grow up around it, like the internet is still weird to you. Like if you're a certain age, like if you're over 50 or whatever, like
Yeah.
that level of the internet, like why is this funny? Just because it's funny, it's online, and what do you mean? Why is this funny? Like
Yeah.
you wouldn't even question
it's
that. But
yeah. I mean, it's funny because it's one of those things where it's like definitely has to be like underlying reasons why the thing is funny, but at the same time, because we grew up with it, a lot of the stuff, it's kind of, it becomes so instinctual
yeah,
that it's kind of hard to articulate why it's funny. Like we all just like know because it's there, and especially a lot of the times in memes, you'll have things where it'll be like the they're built on so many layers of years gone by old memes that it's like making references to shit that like if you don't know it, it's like, why would anyone in a million fucking years laugh at this?
yeah, yeah. But that's why like your stuff is valuable, I think, because you have to be a really good storyteller to be able to unpack it even in 20 minutes. Like most people, it would take an hour to kind of sit somebody down and explain why something is funny. And if you have to take an hour to explain why something is funny, the person that you're explaining it to is probably still not going to think it's funny at the end of the hour, right?
Oh yeah, it's if they had any chance of thinking it's funny, like once you've explained it to them, it's fucking that ship has sailed.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Like I was watching recently the video that you did about the guy who found out his friend had cancer on Reddit.
Oh yeah.
But really, it was a kind of an explanation on rage comics and the kind of the wave of rage comics on the internet. And that's like one of those things that if you lived through it, you're like, yeah, of course, this was such a big part of my upbringing. But if you didn't live through it, you're like, I've never heard of this before.
Yeah, it's weird. Like that's one of those ones where I feel like it kind of permeated the culture so much where even if you weren't around for that, you've kind of seen it.
Like the face.
But yeah, like you know the stuff. You probably have some understanding that the format existed for sure. But then what I like to do too, like you kind of touched on this, is when you have these stories, you can kind of use that as the kind of like the gateway into being able to explain the whole format. Because if I was just like, oh, okay, here's a video about rage comics, it's like there's validity to that. But then you kind of, by having the story of, oh, here's the guy that he learned he had cancer because his friend made a rage comic about him, then it kind of gives you the reasoning to jump into the topic as a whole.
Yeah. Yeah, so when you're doing these specifically, because you do these, but you also do like the gaming mysteries video. You do videos about horror movies that I love, by the way, because like the movies that you
Thanks.
choose, I feel like are perfect. I just watched your sleepaway camp video,
Oh, I didn't
and
do Sleepaway Camp yet.
didn't you do where you had his
Oh no, you know what it is? I did the last one I tried a different format where I was doing a bunch of different kills. So I
right,
did start with Sleepaway Camp. You're
right,
right.
right, because like the guy had his face melting off and everything, and
Yeah.
it's like some of these movies that you watch are just so like you're sitting there going like, how has nobody unpacked this and like put it in a reference to today because it's just so insane that they exist. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I
I mean,
love
there's a
them.
few channels of it. But I think I kind of do it in my own kind of way of doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right now I'm working on one about Ricky O. You ever watch Ricky O?
I don't think so.
The story of Ricky? Oh shit, you're gonna fuck it. Do you like martial arts films?
Yeah,
Oh my dude, I'm surprised you haven't seen this. Because Story of Ricky, and I was talking about this recently, how I feel like the only action movies that I want to watch are the ones that are so violent that they could be mistaken for a horror movie.
sure.
And Ricky O is that movie to a fucking T. Actually, you've definitely seen. Have you ever seen the gif of like the dude like just like
Of course.
squashing some guy's head?
Yes.
That's from that movie.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like it seems like it's gonna be a regular martial arts movie, then everyone is so fucking strong that they're just doing this insane violence to each other.
Yeah.
You got a scene where a guy like his arm gets fucked up, so he rips his own tendons out of his arm, ties it back up, and his arm works again.
Of course.
It's that level of crazy.
I love it. Yeah, I got this Blu-ray like literally like a couple days ago that I haven't watched yet, but I got it from this movie store, the Archive. They're like the Vinegar Syndrome people,
Uh-huh.
and he was like, "Have you seen this movie Raw Force?" And I was like, "No, I've never seen the movie Raw Force." And he just pulled out the Blu-ray. He's like, "You got to see this. Like, just look at the cover. Everything on the cover is in the film, and it had Nazis and zombies and women in prison and
I gotta pull this
kung
up.
fu. Yeah, Raw Force. I want to
Raw
say
Force.
if that doesn't
That
come,
sounds it's just like crazy. It's an action movie.
it's an action movie. Yes, it's not, but yeah,
1982. Yeah.
yeah.
So we got a martial arts guy, some kind of Japanese demon, a guy with a sword,
A kabuki.
chick
Yeah,
with
yeah,
the
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
invaders of the J team. This looks pretty crazy.
yeah. So I haven't watched it yet. I'm not necessarily giving you a recommendation, but I'm telling you that just based on the description that I got for it, like I can't wait to watch it. So I'm assuming that we would both enjoy that.
Well, you know how sometimes these movies, especially like from this period of time, they have alternate titles they were ran as.
Yeah. Yes.
This one, apparently, the alternate title for this one is Kung Fu Cannibals. So
I mean
that right there. Now I
yeah.
gotta see it.
How are you not?
Yeah, how do you not?
So when you're doing Tales from the Internet, right? Especially as it's grown, because now it's like anything else. You start it and there's no expectation. You're just going, yeah, this would be fun, and I'll put this up and I'll see if people are into it. Now there is an expectation. Like now there's a pretty large audience that's sitting there waiting for the next one. What's it going to be? Are these like stories? Do you have a list in your brain of stuff that you just want to do?
Oh, I
Or
have
or are you sitting there kind of researching, "Oh, yeah, I forgot this thing happened. I could do that. I could do this."
so I mean they do kind of pop up in my head sometimes, or sometimes I'll get an email from someone wanting me to look into something.
Yeah.
But I actually have a running notepad file on my phone of videos I eventually want to get to. And the top of that list right now is Super Hornio Brothers. So now that like you know how I only recently got an iPhone, so I didn't realize the Notepad app like basically will just name the file
Oh,
whatever the
yeah,
top
whatever
entry
this
is.
yeah.
Yeah. So now every time I want to write about a video, I have to go to Super Hornio Brothers until I finish that one and get it out there.
That's awesome. How long do
Yeah.
these things how long do they take? Because, I mean, it's not like you're just sitting there talking about them, right? There's a lot of editing that goes in, and you find a lot of the original, like, web pages and the reference stills and stuff. I'm assuming you're using the Wayback Machine and everything for all that.
Yeah. It varies a lot between the topic because it depends a lot on where the information is located. Sometimes everything is like in a few bunch of articles. You can kind of just like find the common threads in those and put them together. Sometimes you got to like dig through forums, or sometimes you got to go through the Internet Archive, and a lot of the times there's stuff that's not archived well, so you got to kind of like then the big time consuming thing becomes there's clearly like something that's like in the blank here that's not archived.
Mhm.
Is there a way for me to find it? That becomes when that does pop up, which is not all the time. That does become a time consuming thing,
Mhm.
but it's not all the time thing.
You're like a journalist. You're like a straight up journalist
Like,
looking for your source. You're like, there are a lot of people I'm sure that would sit there and go like, "There's this gap here. I guess it's not there." But you're like, "No, I'm gonna go internet digging. I'm gonna find this. There's
yeah.
got to be something somewhere."
The disappointing thing about it is sometimes you just can't fill that gap.
Yeah.
Like something that something that I fucking hate from that period of time where a lot of the stories that I covered, a trend at that time was a fully Flash website.
Oh
That was
yeah.
I remember hating Flash websites when they came out, and everyone being because like at the time I kind of like did like a little bullshit web design. Like I was never an amazing web designer, but I could throw together a decent HTML website in Notepad. But then Flash became the thing for
Yeah.
a website, and it's like, oh well, if you want to make a website for someone, you got to learn how to do Flash. And so you have all these ugly fucking Flash web pages where because all the text is inside Flash, none of that could be indexed, and
Uh,
none of that could be archived. So
yeah.
like all of those web pages are just lost.
uh,
Yeah.
it's so funny too, because it's like you'd think it'd be a bummer for the designer, but it's really a bummer for us that are trying to like revisit. Because I don't think anybody realized that people would be going to these sites and thinking about them nostalgically the way you do. Like, oh, when's this TV show coming out on DVD? That's the way people are like, oh, I want to go back to Meat Spin. Remember when Meat
Yeah.
Spin was a thing? I got to go back.
Dude, it's funny with those old shock websites now. There's like I did a bunch of videos on these, so I've kind of like I've come across this company a bunch of times, but a lot of the old shock websites now are owned by some company that made their own like little network of them. It's so fucking weird. Like they'll have
Wow.
all the pages like full of ads, and you click on it, and it'll be like, oh well, oh you're on. I don't remember if this is the specific example now, but it's like, oh you're on Meat Spin. How about would you be interested in Two Girls One Cup? Like like they're all fucking like lumped in together like that.
I guess now that you mention it, I guess I would be. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's the weirdest fucking business model. I'm sure they make a ton of money doing it though.
Yeah, because you got to think that the only people there, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, just clicking around websites because they can't sleep, and so every time something comes up, you want to go to Lemon Party? Yeah, I guess I do want to go to Lemon Party right now. Yes, I
See,
want to
Lemon
that.
Party is one that I really want to cover, but some of these stories, it's hard to find like the pieces you need to even turn into a video.
Yeah,
Like Lemon Party, I guess like the things I would need to find to actually make that like a compelling video
yeah,
are first off who the men are,
of course.
why this picture exists. The way that picture exists, I always thought that there might be like this might be part of a set in the way that Tub Girl was.
Right.
It's Tub Girl, I don't know if you knew this, there are multiple photos from the Tub Girl set.
Did you do a video on that?
Not yet. That's one of the ones where I also would like to have a little more information on before I actually make the video.
I see. Yeah, because they're very like Tub Girl is an icon and Lemon Party is an icon. But yeah, so Lemon Party, you need to find out who the guys are.
Yeah, who the guys are.
You need to find out if
like
it's
what
a set.
context.
Yeah.
like where the set is, where the guys are now. But granted, they're probably dead. Like that looked like an old photo back then.
Yeah.
So they were old men. So
Yeah. And also like who found the photo, why the site was created in general. Like you have to not only figure out the context of the photo, but then also the context of the site. And yeah, I get like, is that one of those that has never really been explained?
no, not really. That is, I might say that of all the old school shock sites,
Yeah.
in my opinion, Lemon Party might be the most mysterious.
Yeah.
Because there's just nothing.
By the way, if there's any if any of the references as we speak about these, if you're going like, oh, I don't know what they're talking about, don't Google it. Just assume. Just enjoy the conversation. Do not Google these things. If you
the instant recommendation to they're absolutely going to go do it because you said that.
Yeah, I know.
If they weren't before.
I know.
But I'm sure that most of your viewers have seen that before.
I would hope
There's
so.
no way.
I would hope
like they're
so.
probably like guys vaguely around like our age.
Yeah.
Who have these same interests.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. So what was kind of the first one that you did that you realized people were going to respond to this? Like this is going to be your thing.
The first I had a few of these. So my channel in its early stages, I kind of really didn't know what I wanted to do. I did some gameplay videos. Did some videos where like I was trying different foods, trying to learn other languages badly. But then I was like, oh, you know what? I remember a lot of these weird old internet stories. Let me try to make some videos on these. So at first one I did was the My Little Pony cum jar, because I was like, this one is just this. It's such an insane story.
Mm-hmm.
That one is actually funny because I wound up interviewing the guy recently.
Yeah, I saw you did the follow-up. Yeah,
that was a fun one. But I did that one. I did Alex Chu and his immortality rings, which he wound up finding the video and liking it and sending me immortality rings.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I feel like I'm still dying though, so I don't know how much they help. They were magnetic, so I basically have them as a magnet on my refrigerator right now. That this dude Wild Steve, that was the Mosh Warrior in his own bedroom. That was one of the early ones. But at that phase, like nobody like no, they didn't get as good views as if I did something on like a trending topic or something like that.
Right.
So I was like, oh well, this is something I'm just gonna do for fun on the side of the videos where it's like that are actually getting views. But then I kind of noticed at some point that when the trending topics died out, the Tales from the Internet videos kept on getting views and eventually would pass them. And then the first video that really popped my channel was the Taylor Swift 4chan video, the one about this
Yes.
this Taylor Swift secret. I almost called her Taylor Chan. Um, this Taylor Swift secretly used 4chan.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember that one. Yeah.
and that one actually I got super lucky with the timing of that one. So that one it was already doing decently. I remember at that point Anthony Fantano had shared it, which was like the perfect person to share something that's about music and 4chan.
Uh-huh.
So it was already doing well because of that. And then the same week, Taylor Swift just happened to release a song. Didn't know she was. I don't think she had even announced it. She was just like, "Oh, here's a song."
Yeah.
And because all of a sudden Taylor Swift is in the algorithm is carrying my Taylor Swift video along with it.
And all of a
And
sudden, this like side thing, like you accidentally hit on a trending topic with the
yeah,
Tales from the Internet series.
and then people who like that Taylor Swift video, they want going through the backlog of those. At that point, I had like maybe 5 or 6 of them. So people are like, "Oh, like I like this type of video."
Yeah. That's great. I love it. I mean, I feel like the Brian Peppers one seemed like it did pretty big.
Oh yeah, that was I almost didn't put that one out either. I was when I had finished it, I felt like it wasn't up to the standard of the rest of the videos I had done at that point.
Really?
Yeah. But then that wound up being people's most liked one. One of.
Yeah,
And to this like to today, it's still one of my most popular videos.
yeah, because the Brian Peppers story, it's like it's a very human story. Like you kind of were able to take it outside of the internet and like and create a human story around it. And I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was really good.
Yeah, I'm looking back on it now. I love that video. But at the time, you know what it was? I had just done the Max Headroom video,
Which
which
is
the Max Headroom video was like more of like, oh, we have this mystery we got to crack.
that's why that
Well,
one was so great. I love that one. I probably watched it
thanks.
like 3 times trying to figure out who I think it is. And
Yeah.
like the Pizza Hut theory got me. The Pizza Hut conversation. I was like,
It's
"Oh
it's
yeah."
such a compelling thing
It
because
really
like you can
is.
just like I'm part of it is just like the way the guy told his recollection of it. It it was such a vivid description. You can just like picture like this gang of hackers like discussing what's going down at fucking Pizza Hut. But then I guess like because I had made the Brian Peppers video shortly after that, I was like, oh, well, this doesn't now I need to have that mysterious bent to it, which wasn't really there.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it's not true. Like people just enjoyed the story for being what it was. And you had a guy in YTMD who pretended to be his brother, which did give it like that twist and turn to make it a compelling story.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Shortly,
go ahead.
shortly after that, actually, I got an email from someone, and I wasn't able to verify this with the archive or anything, but what this person had told me was they knew the exact origin of how that picture began to spread online of Brian Peppers. If you're watching this, you don't know who Brian Peppers is. You've definitely seen his picture before.
Yeah.
It's this guy, his guy with like a purple face, big gigantic purple face, and Apert syndrome, I believe, is what he had.
Maybe I put a little picture of him or something
Yeah.
on the thing. Once people see his picture, they're like, "Oh yeah, I've seen
Oh
that
yeah.
everywhere."
If they don't know the name, they know the face.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at the I forgot if they said it was Tech TV or G4, but whichever station it was, they had a forum. So what people were doing was they just had a thread on the forum where they it was just those like those pedophile map finder things where you put in your address so you see where all the pedophiles around you lived.
Yeah.
So someone in that thread just happened to live in his part of Ohio, and they found him on the map and posted him to the thread, and then people then just like went from there. At
That
least like I so badly wanted to see the original Brian Peppers thread,
yeah.
but the like forums are the worst for archives because even if they're public, there's a lot missing, but most of the time there's like a lock behind a membership wall or some shit. So a lot, I mean, I don't think G4 was, but a lot of the time all that shit is just locked behind something and gone forever.
Yeah, yeah, it's locked behind something, and then you try to, and you can't. It's not like you can sign up for new memberships now. They've been dead for 20 years, so
Yeah.
yeah, it just gets locked up forever. Yeah,
Yeah, Internet Archive is just, if it's behind the wall, it's gone.
wow. The Max Headroom thing we were talking about, that is like this mystery. That one's really interesting because it almost it. Well, I mean, it does. It predates most of what you cover on Tales from the Internet. The only reason I think it fits is because it has kind of had a second life on the internet, but it was
Yeah.
really like in the
I
in the 80s, somebody hacked into uh, uh, a couple of local Chicago network TV stations and just put on weird videos in a Max Headroom mask, like getting spanked with like a feather or something like that, or a fly
oh,
swatter, in the middle of a couple of news broadcasts, right?
yeah, pretty much. That one actually, when I was making that video, I considered the point where it's like this, so like this doesn't technically take place on the internet, but then it has that hacking component. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, it's kind of like it's tangential enough that I can just call it a part of that series.
Yeah. No, yeah, and I think it worked, and also, it's also one of those things that has been a discussion point on the internet for so long,
Oh
and
yeah,
people
for
using
sure.
the internet that yeah, I didn't really question it. I felt like it fit in just because it is an internet conversation. Did you feel like you had gotten any closer to, like, do you when you're doing videos like that, do you put on a detective hat where you're like, "Oh, no, I'm gonna figure this thing out. I'm gonna solve this mystery."
Sometimes I feel like that one wasn't one of the ones though where I really felt like there is like a reasonable chance of me solving the mystery, because it was like I feel like someone, for a person to actually solve that mystery, especially since it is a pre-internet mystery, it's one of those things where you have to have like real connections to that local Chicago scene and like really know what was going on in that part of the world at that time
Yeah.
to really pin it down.
Yeah, yeah, and that's why, that's why I gave the Pizza Hut theory such credence, that there was somebody that said, "Well, my friend was a waiter at a Pizza Hut and he heard this conversation." And then you're like listening to this tale of this guy telling a conversation that he heard, that his friend heard while his friend was a waiter at a Pizza Hut. And you're like, "Nope, that's it. That guy figured it out." And I was
Yeah,
like, "Yeah,
it could
yeah,
be, yeah.
I'm there. I'm with it." I think one of the videos you did that I got the biggest kick out of, because I felt like while you were telling the story, it was something that you really just did because you enjoyed it so much, because you probably giggled through the video more than any other video you've ever done, was Angry Trumpet Guy. Like,
Oh my
you
god,
just
yes, Douglas Levinson, yes.
like you were just doing the voice and giggling so much. I was
Yeah,
like, this one's just for Wang. This one's just for you.
yeah. That one was one of those ones too. I had to do it a bunch of different ways because like normally when I do a Tales from the Internet video, I have my whole like script written beforehand to like how I'm gonna like cover this and that part, which I did for a lot of that video. But then the part where I'm looking at his website,
Yeah.
I started to do it, and that's the part where I'm like really cracking up when I'm looking through the website he made for his company. And I'm like, I can't have a script for this. I just gotta like roll with it. Like he has this one section. It's I mean, this was very much how people just made websites in whatever time he made his website. And it's like he has this company. It was like Flower Power Creative, I think was the name of it. And it was supposed I'm not exactly I think it was supposed to be some kind of music slash activism or something company. Not sure what they actually did. They just kind of, we do it all, like that kind of thing. But then part of it, he just had a section where it's his photography, and the photography is broken down into different categories. So he has one of these category. One category will be like, oh, nature, and it's this like a random, like it's not like he went and took these grand landscapes or anything. He just like it took a blurry picture of like a tree in somewhere in fucking New York, and that's fucking nature, the beautiful outdoors of fucking lower Manhattan. He has one that's like technology, so you're thinking it's setting you up for you're gonna have the cutting edge of computers or robotics or whatever, and he has a picture of his lamp I mean, I guess you're right. A lamp is technology, but you set the expectations way higher
Yeah,
than what they were.
I also
But
love.
then just like knowing having seen the guy in the trumpet fight video, you sit there with him, like picturing him designing his website and the logic behind every choice he makes, and it
Yeah,
just makes it so much better.
yeah, just getting pissed at you for criticizing it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta love people that are like, I want to get into photography, so they just go buy a camera and they're like, okay, now I'm a photographer. Like they don't go to class, they don't do anything. They're just like, oh, what's that? To be a photographer, need a camera. All right, then I'll be a photographer.
Yeah, what pisses them off now is if like they're like, I'm a photographer, and oh yeah, me too, buddy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You just show. Yeah, that's the best. When you
Yeah.
go up to a photographer and you're like, "Oh man, what kind of camera you got?" And it's like, "Well, I mean, I'd like to think that I had something to do with it. It wasn't just the piece of
I mean,
equipment I'm
no,
holding."
they absolutely do. Like it's fun to joke about, but like the difference between a good photographer and a bad photographer,
Mhm.
even given the same exact gear, like it's night and fucking day.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
like some people just don't have the aesthetic sensibilities to make it actually work,
right, right.
and that's probably one of the most difficult things for someone who doesn't just innately have it to actually learn.
Well, like,
And
did you for your visual? I mean, I feel like you kind of created a pretty unique aesthetic. Like you're like, okay, how do I turn my room into something that looks cool, something that looks unique? And you had to. I've seen like stuff looks different as the videos progress. Like you're
oh
trying
yeah,
different things with lighting, different things with camera placement. Is that
I mean if
just
I'm
trial and error?
yeah, it 100% is. Like, if I'm totally honest, I've to this day never been completely happy with the visuals setup of my whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'll try a bunch of different lenses. I've been taking, so I just got now a much whatchamacallit, a longer lens that I had before.
Hmm.
So it's like more in my face, but it also has the thing where it's I when I bought it, I remembered all the technical details of why it does this. I don't remember it anymore. But yeah, I can like I have my technical knowledge of anything to do with cameras is fucking shit.
Yeah.
But I can remember it for brief periods when I'm actively in the process of setting things up though.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
but long story short, the aperture is large enough that I can have this effect where I'm in focus in the background. You get that blurry background effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so like I've been feeling that because I got the like the pixel screens on and like they're not as in focus and distracting as but you still see the motion in the background, so it kind of gives the frame a little bit of life.
Yeah. 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 And I guess that's something you got to think about, like when people really start watching your videos and stuff, right? That now people are going to notice every little detail. It's all got to be perfect.
Oh yeah. Like eventually I would like to just, build out a whole like cool looking set or something.
Hmm.
Maybe take it in a different direction too, because like now like everybody's got like the blue and red lights.
Yeah.
So I want something that's kind of cool looking, but not that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, you gotta figure out, like, what else can I do that because especially in the last year and a half, like, so many people have built, kind of corner studios in their
Oh yeah.
house and, like, just, use the lighting and everything to demonstrate it. You gotta figure out, like, what can you do? But, like, would you wanna move it into a real studio space? Or do you feel like I mean, I kinda feel like part of the charm is that you're filming your videos there, and it feels like this guy's just up at 3 o'clock in the morning talking to a camera because he was just on the internet for, 2 days straight without sleep, looking up something that happened 20 years ago that we all forgot about.
Yeah, that is true. That is something I thought about too. I've had people who wanted to like there was like one TV show I saw at some point. It didn't like pan out to anything, but part of like when they began talking to me was like exactly what you said. That kind of the fact that I do it in my bedroom,
Yeah.
it gives it a certain kind of sense of like how things went down when I was like putting the video together.
Yeah, like it kind of
Um,
feels like you see the bed in the background. It feels like you got out of bed to make the video, but you should be asleep.
I
You
mean,
know what I mean?
sometimes it does go like that. There are a lot of times I get my writing done. I'm like about to go to sleep, and I'm like, wait, I want to do this now. So I'll write up my fucking
Yeah.
whole video on like the notes app in my phone. So it does literally go down like that sometimes.
Yeah, and that's the way. Yeah, so that's the balance, right? You don't want
Mhm.
to you don't want to disrupt things too much from the way things
You
are
know what? What's
working.
thinking about it? What's funny is like because like there's a lot of YouTubers who have that kind of setup because I mean that's the appeal of YouTube. You can just kind of like do your video. You don't need to like get a whole like big uh expensive rig or fancy studio or anything. You just literally just like shoot on a bullshit webcam in your bedroom.
Yeah.
But then a lot of people did get big and like they I guess they had that same thought process where it was like oh shit, like people kind of like the appeal of me doing this in my bedroom and they'll like construct like a fake home in their studio.
Yeah.
It's so fucking weird.
Yeah, yeah, that's what you got to do. You got to get a content one of those content houses.
Oh god, yeah.
Yeah, have you do you at all get into like what's going on the internet today?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you're
Like,
still like kind of in touch with like all like the kind of YouTube groups, like this other guy, Internet a J, who credits you all the time for
oh
his
dude, I
stuff.
love
Like
it, Jay.
he blew
Yep.
up. Like his videos are great. He blew up
Oh
and
yeah.
like because I didn't know anything. I love his stuff about like the IRL streamers because I didn't know anything about that world. Like I'd heard of like Ice
Oh
Poseidon
yeah.
or whatever. I've heard of it, but I don't
Mhm.
know anything about it. And so like when I'm sitting there and I'm watching all his videos and going through the Andes and all that stuff, like I was super happy when he started blowing up this year. Um,
Yeah, I was stoked for him because he was a guy that, like he was always around in the community.
mhm.
Like I would see him commenting on my stuff, on other people like me's stuff on Twitter, and then he starts like really like putting a lot of work on his own stuff, and then he's blown up the past few months.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, because he puts a lot of work into it, and he also talks about stuff that, like, he found his lane. He's not just like copying what you're doing. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's talking about the older stuff. I'll talk about the stuff that's kind of gone on in the last 5 years. So you do still kind of keep up with all the weirdness that goes on the internet.
Oh yeah, especially like any of the drama shit that happens
Yeah.
now. Like I don't involve myself in it or cover it really, but I will sit there and watch fucking like streams and that shit all fucking day long.
Me too. Me
Like
too.
half the time, like if there's like some like bullshit happening, like I'll be going about my day with like Tommy C or fucking Augie in the background or some shit like that, like getting the dose of what's going on with that shit.
It's so crazy because like I don't there it's all these people that I've never even watched. Like I never watch their content regularly.
Mhm.
And then when like drama starts, I'm like, okay, I got to find out what's going on here.
Yeah,
I
exactly. And
gotta
then
get
you
to the
gotta
bottom.
like go back and learn. Like,
Yes.
all right, well, this seems interesting, but I don't know who the fuck these people are. So now I gotta get
Yeah.
someone to like get me up to speed.
Yeah. All these people care. So there's got to be something going on here. I got to find out what's happening here. It's like YouTube beefs are like the new radio wars. Like radio wars used to be so great when like radio guys would get mad at each
Oh yeah,
other, but that doesn't happen anymore. So now it's like, and if it does, it's fake. So now it's like YouTube beefs.
yeah.
And yeah,
I feel
to me, they're the
yeah.
best ever.
I feel like there was like a peak of YouTube beefs a few years ago too. Like it's not as hot as it was
Yeah.
before. Part of that is probably now YouTube has these harassment policies
Yeah.
where a lot of the times it could be street, even if it's like not really that spicy, if it's just like constructive criticism of someone else's shit, even if it's like kind of mild, sometimes they can frame it in a way where it's like, oh, this is bullying, so we're gonna remove it.
Yeah, yeah. When channels start getting removed and everything, it's like, oh well, that kind of takes the fun out of everything. Like that stops everything in its tracks.
Yeah, like bullying is the foundation that the internet internet was formed on.
Yeah,
The fuck you gonna take that away?
it is gonna be weird if some people have this idea of having the internet without bullying. It's like when people are like, yeah, man, I like Twitter, but people are so mean on it, and I'm like, well, what do you think's gonna happen? Like,
Like the
that's
best way I saw it put the best way. These people they live on your phone.
yeah.
They live on your phone. Like you like if they upset you, okay, okay, they're gone now.
Yeah, it's and it really is crazy because like that I think it happens to a lot of people, especially the first time when like you get that wave of negative stuff and like you're like, oh my god, I think my life's falling apart. I think everybody, and if you just leave your phone in another room for like 2 hours,
Mhm.
it disappears, and you're like, oh, it's not real life. Everything's okay.
Yeah. See, I had gotten that actually very early on in my channel. There was I pissed off a lot of people,
Mm-hmm.
and it like was something I never in a million fucking years thought would have bothered anybody. It was the Mandela effect videos about the Sinbad Genie movie.
And it pissed people
Back
off?
people were fucking furious because I was like, I made a bunch of videos talking about how stupid the fucking Mandela effect is. It's basically like, oh, I remembered something incorrectly, therefore the universe has changed.
Right.
You had one guy that I found a thread on Reddit where he can't tell a difference between there, and there. And he's like, I'm not wrong. These used to be different, and then the universe changed, and it's not just that I can't spell.
Right. No, it was definitely Berenstain Bears when I was growing
Yeah.
up. And you're like, it was really.
But specifically the Sinbad movie,
Uh-huh.
it like that like set off, that was like people's fucking MK Ultra phrase or some shit, and it was became like this weird fucking battle point for the Mandela effect. And so I made one video like making my the original like debunking of the Sinbad Genie movie, and people came to me with all these like very obviously photoshopped images
Yeah.
of like if you ever looked into it all, you've probably seen these photoshopped images. This one guy is like holding a VHS tape
Uh-huh.
of actually what's funny, actually the body that's a very Sinbad with a more muscular body than he's ever had in his fucking life, and in a genie costume. And then it turns out that the body he's photoshopped onto is Chavo Guerrero Jr. And you can find the picture of Chavo Guerrero Jr. with the body.
It's Chavito. Come on.
Yeah. There's that one. And then what happened is the April Fool's tricks that came out, because like that one, like part of why those videos did well is because just the idea of it began trending that year. I think it was like 2016, maybe 2015, maybe even. But then that April Fool's, Think Geek made a fake VHS of Shazam.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, the funny thing is, like, after it, so many people said that to me. They're, oh, you see, it was real after all. But if you actually click the buy link on it, it goes to a thing that tells you it was an April Fool's joke. So they clearly just didn't even click the link to see if it was real. And then College Humor made a fake reenactment of it.
Yeah.
So they got Sinbad in the studio. They shot a bunch of scenes for a Shazam trailer. Oh no, I don't remember if it was a trailer or if it was supposed to be like a found scene for the movie. I think it was a found scene. And then in the trailer, first off, it's like the most fake VHS effect I've ever seen in my life. Like I can't imagine someone looking at that that's actually watched a real VHS in their life and thinking, oh, this is a real VHS tape. It's like, it's so clearly digitally added VHS distortion.
Yeah, like the tracking that you could just add on an Instagram filter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally that tier of VHS effect. And there's a bunch of references to other Mandela effect things in there, like Fruit Loops, and I forgot what the other ones were, but Fruit Loops was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of that shit is just like, people don't pay, everyone like doesn't pay as close attention to shit as we fucking think we do.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was just like a pro Mandela effect army that just swarmed after you.
I had that was the point at which I had to turn notifications off on my phone because it was coming in like nonstop. Like, it's like, even if I wanted to read them all, I literally could not. So I was like, oh well, I guess this is just going there. They live in my phone. They're going away now.
Yeah. Did you think for a second, like, oh man, maybe I should take the video down, maybe I shouldn't, and then have to?
Fuck that.
Good. Good.
Yeah. No, that's like especially like, I mean, that's like pretty mild in terms of like, I guess, like people like putting something on the internet and getting shit for it. Pretty mild, because it's not like a controversial like issue that can like ruin your job or anything like that. It's just you told some people they're wrong and they're mad.
Yeah.
But people like definitely like cave way too fucking easy with shit like that. It's really disheartening to see, especially when it's like something where it's like they'll put out an apology where it's like, I know you don't fucking believe this thing you're apologizing for. You just want everyone to shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, if you put your phone away and you just start working on the next video, you're like, oh, this solved the problem. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it just It went away. There's a couple, but yeah, can you imagine? Because there are people that would, because it's scary, right? It's scary to people when like
It is.
all these people start coming
Like,
after you. But like the
I mean, it's
reality,
different too. Like, it's something that in the cancel culture discussion, something there is a disconnect between people who have like media personality careers of any kind
hmm
and people who have regular jobs.
hmm
Because if you're like a person in the public sphere, you can weather that storm. Like, as long as you stick to your fucking guns, you can weather that storm. If you're a guy that works at a fucking office who made a tweet that he thought was funny and it pissed his coworkers off, you can lose everything in a fucking second.
oh yeah, because it's like
So there's that disconnect.
you lose your job and then you go to the next job and they're like, oh, why'd you get fired from this job? And you're like, oh, this
Mhm.
tweet, and they're like, oh, we don't want any of that involved in us. Yeah, we don't know any. Yeah. It's crazy when you think about it, but also, I mean, man, I sometimes think if I just had a normal like 9 to 5 job, why would I ever want to be on Twitter? You know,
You
like
know, I've
what?
had that thought about social media a lot in general.
Yeah,
I would think it more about Facebook back when I used to use Facebook more. I
yeah,
was like, if I wasn't like on here like making things, I would just have like my really close personal friends that like I use this to keep in touch with,
yeah.
and that's about it. Think about Twitter though. I used to think about Twitter that way, and now I realize how fucking irreparably addicted I am to that fucking website. Like, I used to be able to convince myself I'm on Twitter for productive reasons. I'm
Mhm,
fucking not. I'm
mm-mm.
sitting on my fucking phone sharing people's fucking shit posts at like 4 in the morning when I should be sleeping. I went to bed at like 6 this morning and got up in a few hours just because like I was like, oh well, I spent too much time on Twitter. I got in bed at 3 and here I am still.
Yeah, no, and you do like it's not productive. It's never. I will go on. Not only am I into like YouTube like beef, but
Mhm.
like when wrestling journalists, like when people have like wrestling websites, when they
Yeah.
start like going after each other or they're involved in anything controversial, oh my god,
Oh, the people I like I haven't
I'll just be there
I
for
never like paid too
hours.
close attention to like the beef between wrestling journalists, although every
Ah,
once in a while something bubbles up to the top.
yeah.
You sound like you have something recent on your mind though regarding that.
I mean, I was literally just looking at tweets like today, like
Oh wait,
before
what's the wrestling
before
controversy
I came
today?
on. Okay, so and
Yeah.
this will, obviously this is pre-recorded, but um my friend who used to work at WWE, Mike Mansuri, was
Uh-huh.
tweeting because Sean Ross Sapp from Fightful. Here it is. Yep, it was still up. Um, he tweets out, there are more WWE cuts coming, staff and possibly talent. And
Mhm.
then Mike Mansuri, where's his response? And I always love when there's like a double response, you know? So he responded, why would you put something like this out? Do the social impressions mean more than unease that people are feeling right now reading this? And
Th-
then go ahead.
oh no, there's like this weird debate that I see, and like one thing I'm thankful for, like being in the YouTube world, people don't think like this. But I there's in I feel like I see it in wrestling and I see it in metal where you have people whose job it is to cover the news,
Mhm.
but then when people do their fucking job of covering the news, like shit that's relevant to the people who follow these communities, people are like, oh, like don't you care about how the people involved like feel about this and that? And it's like I report the news. Like that's
Yeah. I
like
almost
people should know.
maybe metal is the same way as wrestling. Like I almost feel like people who love wrestling are like super defensive of it because if you don't love wrestling, like you hate wrestling, you know what I mean? There's so many people that
Yeah.
don't get it. So
Mhm.
maybe like people are defensive about metal the same way whereas if somebody's like metal, like what is this? Like nobody's
You
listened to
know,
metal in 20 years and so maybe they get defensive about
mhm.
that community whereas on YouTube it's like YouTube is so universally popular and mainstream that nobody really has to be there to defend that community. Ma
I never thought about it like that, but could be a good reason why. I see like I've always thought especially more recently, like looking at the metal community, the horror community, and the wrestling community, they have like this like very similar culture in that regard.
Yeah.
Even if like, I mean, there's a lot of crossover in the fandoms there, but it's not like a one-to-one like exact crossover. But the like culturally in that way, they're very similar.
Yeah. Yeah. So I feel like when the people who aren't part of the community are specifically anti the community, because I feel like that's how it is with wrestling, that's how it is with metal, that's how it is with horror too.
I've been seeing what's cool with what wrestling like in terms of like its online presence recently, I feel like short form, like we've seen like this rise of short form content the
Hmm.
past couple of years, and I feel like that has lent itself to just like cool fucking high spots from wrestling matches going viral amongst people who don't watch wrestling.
Yeah, I was actually talking to this independent wrestler, Alley Catch, and she was
Mhm.
saying that that's a thing now. That like when I mean, and I think it's really smart that because every like independent show gets taped now, and
Oh yeah.
everyone goes out live on various streaming platforms, and like it used to be, you want to have match of the night, right? You want the fans to leave saying you had match of the night, so then on the websites they'll be talking about it, so that sort of narrative will build. But now it's like not only do you want to have match of the night, you want to have the spot in your match that becomes the gif that everybody passes out for the weekend.
Oh
And
yeah.
and yeah, and I bet there are people already whose careers have been made because the right person saw the gif of them doing something cool and it created buzz.
I keep seeing I keep on seeing the MV Young powerbomb spot pop up a lot. Like the one where he like it's basically like the awesome bomb.
Yeah,
But like, yeah, like that spot like goes fucking I've seen it go viral like twice from different shows in a week.
which is so
Uh,
crazy because like I know you're an ECW fan
mhm.
specifically, not only because I've seen like every now and then you'll pop up in like a New Jack T-shirt or something like that, but
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost like the bat signal when you put on your videos and you use the ECW static as the transition. It's
Oh
like,
yeah,
yeah, I
dude.
mean, immediately. I mean, like there is no place that I could see that static transition and not think back to how many times I saw that in like 97,
Yeah,
98, 99, 1 o'clock in the morning watching ECW TV.
like it's like I don't know what it is about that. Like it's just like there's something so unique about that static
Yeah.
that like you hear it and you just fucking know. You just fucking know. I remember as soon as I got that idea, I was like, I need to like go like find the static where I could find it and just make that every fucking transition.
Yeah, it has to be that static. It can't be like
It
inspired
can't be
by.
TV. Yeah, if it's
Yeah.
just regular TV static,
No.
that doesn't mean anything. The ECW static is the fucking ECW static.
No, but when you think about, man, because you just saying the awesome bomb made me think of how many different times in ECW there could have been like just beautiful memes made of everything they were doing, but all you have is like handheld VHS camcorder footage of it.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
All the fucking New Jack dies off the fucking balcony.
I
The
know.
fucking Elks Lodge.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, I miss the Elks Lodge so much, dude. I used to go to all those fucking ECW Elks Lodge shows. Like the one, like not like the one they call the Elks Lodge now, like the
Yeah.
one with the fucking elk outside and all that shit.
Yeah.
What was the nickname they had for it? The Madhouse of
The
Extreme, some
Madhouse
shit
of
like that.
Extreme. Yeah.
That shit fucking yeah, dude. That was definitely the coolest venue I ever fucking saw wrestling at.
Well, and it looks so good the way they did it on TV because like
Yeah.
all the fans were packed in, but like the balcony was so close to the ring that it looked like the fans were like caving in on
Yeah.
the ring. And so when the Dudleys would come out and just piss everybody off, like it looked like a real riot was about to break out.
Dude, my band actually, we just like the song's not out yet. We just recorded a couple of songs. And so I was showing my band members the Dudley Boys Heatwave 98 promo. And we just wound up calling the song that we were fucking writing Heatwave 98. It's so fucking sick. I can't wait to put this shit out.
That's awesome. Have
Yeah.
have you also been a wrestling fan like forever?
Oh, dude, I've been like a wrestling fan like my whole life. I had tapes because like my mother was a wrestling fan. So I had tapes that she had recorded that were like from before I was born that
Oh,
I would just watch.
that's awesome. What's it like to have a mom who's a wrestling fan? I've never met
It was cool. She
anybody.
used to go to the ECW shows with me.
That's badass.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Yeah, I mean, I think we're about the same age, and like, Yeah, I went to a couple ECW shows. Like I went to some of the later ECW shows when they did them at the Hammerstein, like the pay-per-views and stuff.
Yeah.
And they ran one show in White Plains at the Westchester County Center, but it was so insane that they were told they could never come back. Like,
Oh my God, yeah.
but it was
That rules.
yeah, it was so great. And New Jack did a dive there, and like you saw, like we were there early, and so we were sitting there in our seats, and before the show, you could see New Jack like in the balcony walking around, going like, "Okay, how's this gonna work?" Like, all right, yeah, no, I'm just gonna jump my ass off this balcony, I guess.
I mean, ECW show is always like they kind of felt like being at a metal show, and what's more a metal show than being banned from the fucking venue after playing it once?
It's the yeah, absolutely. But I just remembered remember that band Dope? They did like
Oh yeah, dope. Yeah,
So
they
like,
played Rhino's theme.
yeah, yes. But like the ECW fans were so like awful but great. Like obviously I was one of them. That Dope is sitting there performing before the show. And you know how like at like a metal show, if you brought out a comedian to open for the band, regardless of how good the comedian was, they're gonna just shit all over him the whole time he's up there.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Poor Dope. Like, I mean, they're sitting there
Oh.
like they're playing Rhino's theme. It's like the heaviest, rockingest like thing, and they're just like getting booed and cursed at. And I remember laughing so hard because like as they're playing and we're right by them, but you know they could hear us. There's just guys yelling at them, going, "This is corn on crack! Get the fuck off the stage!"
Yo,
Just like
Oh my-
corn on crack.
corn on crack, dude. I would not. I've been. That's There's been times when I think one of the bands I've been in like was invited to play, or like the idea was floated of playing at a wrestling show. In my head, I'm like, wrestling fans do not want to watch a fucking band unless it's like their favorite band in the whole fucking world. They do not want their wrestling interrupted for a fucking band to play.
Never.
Oh,
Never.
actually, no. You know what? Not true. Not necessarily true. But you gotta pace it right. Like I'm thinking, do you know Casanova Valentine?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like he like has like these deathmatch
Yeah.
bar shows.
Yes.
That it works like that. So like he'll do like you'll have like a card with 2 death matches at a bar, and then he'll have bands on the show between the matches and like a stand-up comedian and shit. Like when the way he structures the shows, that works because it's like that feels more like a night out than a specifically wrestling show, even though it is a wrestling show.
And those are the no ring death matches, right?
Yeah.
Right. So it's almost like you're watching.
Dude, those are so sick.
Amazing. They're
So
and
much.
it's-
He's doing one on July 4th. I'm probably gonna go check that out.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's almost like you're like watching a bar fight.
Yo, literally, like that's the fucking appeal of it. And
Yeah.
it's what really is cool about that shit too. Like he'll book out these fucking like random like fucking hipster bars in Brooklyn where that like people just go to drink. So then you'll have people like that just show up that like they'll be like, oh, I go to this bar. They're doing a thing tonight. Let me go here.
Right.
And there are people who know a lot of people. I mean, a lot of it is wrestling fans going to that, but a lot of it is people who would normally never in a million years be exposed to live wrestling, just being thrown into the fucking deep end, seeing a death match.
I love that like somehow deathmatch wrestling has not only made a comeback, but it's
I
like
love it.
it's like so it's like the
Dude, FMW is back.
I know
FMW is back.
Onita's bringing back FMW, except now he's adding an E, so it's like FMW but more explosions.
Yeah,
I'm like,
exactly. It's just that's what the
great.
E stands for, just explosions, right?
Yeah, FMW explosions, and you're like, what was it before? Yeah. I mean, that's what really for me. It was never like the really good sort of like all Japan, Super J Cup stuff. Like what
I mean, I love that stuff too.
I do too now.
But I got into it older, yeah.
Same. Like for me, when I was in high school and I fell deep into like VHS tape trading in that world, it was
Mhm.
because like I found the Cactus Jack Terry Funk King of the Deathmatch tournament, and then I found a best of VHS compilation, and then I found Big Japan and all the like RF video Hayabusa compilations, and I was like
They had
hooked.
they had that kiosk at Queen Center where they would just sell VHS tapes. They have the TV set up and you can see like the like what they have. And like that's where I get all my FMW shit from. That
Yeah.
shit. Like I learned of FMW when they had done the collaboration with ECW.
Yeah.
And like I like at that point I'm like, oh, ECW is like the craziest shit I ever seen. And then I'm seeing like these FMW guys in exploding barbed wire cages, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, you're like, you mean the 6-man tag barbed wire explosion match in a pool? Yeah, I'm gonna watch that. Yeah, I want to see it.
But then it's cool that's a cool thing. Like going back to, I mean, that's part of like why I feel deathmatch has made such a resurgence, is because it is made for those like those viral online moments where it's like you
Yeah.
can like show like there's got to be a clip in every single death match that's ever happened that you can show someone who doesn't watch wrestling, and they'll just, they're like, what the fuck, I gotta like share this around.
Yeah, I mean that's why like even the Dark Side of the Ring season this season, I felt like the Nick Gage Dark Side of the Ring was the one that people were talking about almost more than any other one
Oh
because
yeah, I've been seeing him all over the fucking place lately.
yeah, that's the one that you can share with people. You're like, this guy legitimately robbed a bank. He legitimately went to prison for 7 years, and now he's out here smashing light tubes and cutting people open with pizza cutters every night. It's like this is great. This is what the world should be.
Yeah, it fucking rules. I'm so stoked that it's funny too. Like thinking about it, it's like there's also like kind of a disconnect too with the deathmatch stuff if you're a wrestling fan,
Yeah.
because a lot of like, especially if you're very into like the internet wrestling community, that's very looked down upon.
Uh-huh.
Deathmatch wrestling, they'll be like, oh, you did all this for like $20 and a hot dog,
Yeah.
but you show like, but anybody else that's like not so like deeply entrenched in this world sees that they're not thinking about no $20 and a hot dog. They're like, oh shit, how's that guy still alive?
How's that guy still alive? And also the storytelling that goes into it, you know,
Oh yeah.
like when it's really well done, it's really well done, man. And yeah, I was shocked. I had Nick Gage on my podcast, and like, first of all, I was shocked that there was anybody going like, "Oh no, you shouldn't have this guy on. I don't like him. Like this is garbage wrestling." But I'm like, still, you're still doing that? And then most of those people that actually listened to the show were like, "Oh, I thought I was gonna hate him. I thought he was gonna be a douche. He's actually like the man." And I'm like, yeah, yeah, of
Yeah,
course he's the
dude,
man.
not for nothing, I've found that, and I'm sure like there are people who break this rule, but I've found that people who are in general, like, I found like deathmatch wrestlers to be like above average when it comes to like just being like articulate and well spoken and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like they're, and just like, yeah, like they're just,
Well, usually it's not like they're doing it because they're stupid and don't know that there's not
yeah.
other types of wrestling. Like they're usually doing it because there's just something in them that's like it's almost like an artistic
Oh
avenue that
yeah.
they want to go down. You know what I mean? Like they're doing it intentionally. They're not sitting there going, "Well, this is how all wrestling is, right?" No, you don't.
Yeah.
You know.
I never seen nothing else.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like they're going to shows like, "You guys use ropes? I thought everybody
There-
just used barbed wire. I had no idea."
you do have a point before too, like we're kind of like talking about all the crazy spots in deathmatch wrestling, but like then like any of those like classic like Hayabusa Onita death matches,
Yeah.
there is so much going on in the storytelling of those matches. It's
Yeah.
not just the guy getting thrown into the ropes and exploding. That's just fucking, that's what gives them the stakes to work with, that allows them to create so much tension within the story of the match.
Yeah, yeah, those are like those are the devices that make the
Yeah.
story what the story is. But yeah, well, I mean, when it's done right, man, I just love
Yeah.
it.
Like that, like there's like guys who will like, well, I'm just gonna hit you with stuff, which is fun, but then like some guys can elevate it to that level.
Yeah, yeah. Although I did see a spot recently where like somebody you know, had cut up another guy's back, like, you know, slammed him on glass or whatever, so he had all these like
Oh
open cuts on his back, and then he pulled out a bag of salt and vinegar potato chips.
yeah,
And he opened it up and he poured it on his opponent's back and started crushing it into all his wounds. And like, I don't know, there's just something like visceral. Like you can see all the
yeah,
explosions and light tubes, but you're like, oh God, just thinking about how much that stings.
yeah. It's one of those things where it's like it seems kind of goofy, but it definitely hurts a lot for real. So
Yeah.
like you're just along for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you like getting back to the internet stuff? Does it bum you out that memes kind of come and go so quickly now? Like I feel like so much of what you cover, you're able to cover it because it was during a time where like most of these like memes and videos and stuff like that had this real slow build and on the way touched a lot of people and there's like there's a story to tell as opposed to you know, something that's hilarious for, I mean, some of this stuff is like the biggest thing in the world for 12 hours and then
Mhm.
disappears and you never hear from it again.
Um, you know what? It's like I like that things move so fucking fast now
Yeah.
because like as like someone that's just like a fucking content junkie, it
Mhm.
just gives me more shit more quickly.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the stories that I do from these, because most of the videos I do, it won't necessarily be like, oh, here's like the explanation of this meme or anything like that. Every once in a while, it's kind of like sometimes the memes will kind of like dislodge something, and a story like rises from what happened in the meme.
Right. I see.
Right? So like and like so that's like it's at that point it's no longer dependent on the meme still being funny.
Right.
It's more about oh, like, well, here's the story of what happened here.
That makes
That's
sense.
something I can kind of like make a video out of.
How did you and Alistair Black or Tommy End now? How did you and Tommy End end up collaborating on that T-shirt that you guys did?
Um, one day he just followed me on social media, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And
Yeah.
then he messaged me, and he's like, "Yo, I'm like a big fan of the channel." I'm like, "Are you really, dude? Hell yeah!" I fucking that fucking rules. And we just got to talking about like doing a collab with his company.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was, dude. I'm so stoked on how that went. Like, it sold out extremely quickly, and we're talking about doing some more stuff. So
Yeah. I mean,
people like the design is fucking sick too.
yeah. Yeah.
I'm
It's
so
really cool.
like happy about how it turned out.
Yeah. He's
Um,
yeah. All his stuff is really cool though. All those like
yeah, like he has like a lot of dudes who are in media will like make up a clothing brand or something, but like you can tell that he actually like has a sense of style,
yes.
which a lot of these guys who will like make a lot of people like will like try to make a brand, they don't really have a sense of style, so it looks like a mess. But
Yeah.
like he's like he knows how to dress well and he knows like what a good shirt looks like, so he can fucking put actually have like a good clothing brand.
Yeah. Like, and he's a thoughtful dude. So he's like
Yeah.
thinking about actually doing something that's cool, not just kind of like, oh, if I put my name on a T-shirt, people will buy it.
Yeah, like, I feel like that's like the philosophy behind a lot of the merch that comes out, but he kind of is able to think beyond that.
Who are some other people that have kind of reached out to you and been like, "Hey, man, I just wanted to say hey because I like your channel," and you're like, oh my god,
Oh, I'm trying to think. Um, I feel like there's one that oh, you know what was a really fucking mind-blowing one recently that just reached out to me? Vectroid hit me up. The fucking Vectroid, right? The
yeah,
yeah, she made the Macintosh Plus, like that basically like the vaporwave song. Actually, like she hit me up with some video ideas. I'm like, wait, seriously? Hell yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's so amazing when you're just sitting there in your room and all of a sudden you're like, oh,
It's like, wait, what? I love your music. You kidding me?
yeah, this is transcendent. Well, I mean, is there anything like when the video started to blow up? Because you were already in a band when you started YouTube, right? Or had you not been in a
Yeah,
band?
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd been bands for my whole adult life.
So, like, was there any part of you that's like, I mean, guys, the YouTube thing is fun, but I'm a musician, just so you know, or were you pretty comfortable with the idea that,
No, yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I'm not what why would I say no to having something I worked on like not being as big as it could possibly be, you
right,
know?
yeah, no, that's,
Yeah. And it's the kind of so a, a big part of why I even like came into YouTube, um like there were like a lot of ways where like maybe like 10 years or so ago, I was touring a lot, like 6 months or more out of the year. So I was like, when you're touring that much, you can't have a regular job.
hmm
So I was finding all different kinds of ways that I can do things and not be like tied down to a specific place.
hmm
If I'm gonna, so like, I part of what I was doing was working a lot as like a TV extra because then it's like you're hired for a day and then you can do whatever the fuck when you're done. Like ghostwriting bullshit, fucking blogs online. And then part like I didn't necessarily expect the YouTube thing to pop off, but I was like, let me just like do I wanted to do this anyway, so like let me like see if I can make something of this. And it worked out well. Like I'm going on tour in October and I can still make videos in October because like just, make a video on the road. Why not?
yeah. Oh, that's gonna be cool. So that's the plan. You're gonna like just have a different look while you're touring around because you're gonna make videos
Yeah.
wherever you are?
Oh yeah, I haven't. I might do it. The thing that there's been a few times where I traveled and brought a camera with me, thinking I'm gonna like set up and record my video that way,
Yeah.
and it never seems to work out. So I had my friend YOLO Swag Studios draw me up some character stills.
Mm-hmm.
So like while I'm away, I might be like just one of those fucking guys. Like with
Oh,
the
cool.
I'm gonna be an animated while I'm away. I might just be an animated avatar guy with audio.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I tested it out when I was away recording last month on the. I did that a little bit on the horror movies video,
Uh-huh.
but like it was fun. It's like I think having the animated avatars when people you're already established as not an animated avatar guy is pretty funny to me because it usually goes the other way,
Right.
where it's like you start off with the fake avatar and then you show your face.
Yeah. Yeah. People are gonna think something happened. Like people are gonna think that you got into some like a catastrophic accident and you're insecure
Yeah,
about your appearance now. Like you
burned
can't,
my face.
Yeah, yeah, or all your glorious hair was burned from your scalp, and you're like, well, now I have to be an avatar. I can't.
Yeah,
I
nah,
can't do
fuck.
this.
If I was all fucked up looking, I would definitely just make a video like that.
And not acknowledge it. Just like
Yeah, like act like nothing happened.
yeah. Like your ears gone, so your glasses are falling off, like Mick Foley, and you're like, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, let's get a monocle then.
Yeah, that's true.
That was actually for I don't know how this got started last night. You know how I said I was like just like I got not a lot of sleep last night because I was up looking for bullshit I need to look at. For some reason, I started thinking about wait, how does a monocle stay on? So I just like spent like an hour at like 5 a.m. reading about monocles.
And you know how how do they stay on?
They have a little thing. It's like so it's not like a perfectly flat thing. Like the ones you'll get it like from a costume shop. Like you'll have to like glue them into place or something.
Uh-huh.
But a proper monocle, it has like these little protrusions on it.
Huh.
So when you put it in, it'll just be held in place by your bones. Like you don't even have to like squeeze or anything. Yeah. It stays there from your bones.
It's pretty advanced technology for something that's been around for a really long time. Some brilliant person must have been like, well, what if we put little like metal things at the end of it? Oh my God,
Yeah.
you just figured out the monocle.
And that's what I learned from reading about that. That's where that trope of like the aristocrat that like you're at the opera and something crazy happens and your monocle falls out.
Yeah.
It's because the surprise makes them raise their eyebrows and the monocle falls out.
Right. And then the leverage, that's so funny.
Yeah. I'm like, all that shit just made sense all the fucking sudden.
So see, it's really good that you stayed up and researched
Yeah, exactly.
monocles.
This is important knowledge for me to have. Yeah. My life would not be the same if I didn't know how a monocle stays in.
Are you able to like take in content without feeling like you have to make something out of it? Like, can you just like sit back and watch some internet videos or watch a movie or something like that and not have your brain going like, okay, I should probably like, oh, I have an opinion about this. I should figure out some video or some tweet or something to share this.
Dude, honestly, it's like this is something I've been struggling with for a bit because I'm realizing because like things like this are my job, especially since I also stream games now. So
yeah,
now if I sit down and play a video game and I'm not streaming it, I'm like, what am I doing? I should be streaming this. I'm so like I've been actually trying to as like a de-stress kind of thing, trying to force myself to play video games without streaming them, which is a really weird thing to have to say, but it's like then I just like the other night I just like chilled playing Mercenaries and Resident Evil 8.
Uh-huh.
And it was like the feeling of not having to feel like I have to be on and I'm just playing the game all of a sudden becomes like even more of a chill thing than it used to be.
Right. It's a real vacation. Yeah, no, I get it. Like I've got like I think half the reason I haven't watched that movie Raw Force yet is because I have all these like obscure movies that nobody's ever heard of but are clearly going to be amazing. And I know I'm going to feel like, oh, I should make some kind of video or a review or do something or like at least write down some ideas to talk about on the radio show, like do something with this movie. If I watch this movie, I can't just watch it. So then I just watch Casino again. I won't feel any stress, like, you know, and I shouldn't. It's not good. It's not good.
That happens with the movie series too. Like last night I sat down with the intention of just watching Riki-Oh to watch it first and then write out my video about it.
Yeah.
But then I was like, as I'm watching through it, I'm pausing it, writing down notes, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'm just doing it this way then.
Yeah. 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 I mean, yeah, it's something that you probably should get under control, but I don't know many people that are making stuff, especially now, like you said, like making stuff so frequently. Like it's not like you're doing one video a month and you can just kind of pick and choose. It's like, oh yeah, I can do that. I could do that. And when you build a studio in your house, I know from personal experience, you don't even have that excuse built into your head where, oh, I'm not visiting the studio again until this time. You're like, well, I have everything set up right there by my bed, so
Yeah.
I might as well do something. Um,
Oh yeah, that's like something actually like COVID fucked this up for me, but like now that shit's kind of opened back up, I'm getting I still haven't actually done it, but I keep on saying I'm going to do this. At the very least, like writing my videos other places,
yeah,
because when you work where you sleep, it fucks you up. Like you're like because you like whenever you're relaxing, you just feel like you should be working.
right.
So now I got to get back into that like thing of writing and editing like at like coffee shops and fucking bars or wherever that is not my apartment.
Yeah. You do all your own editing, or do you have people that help?
Sometimes like I do most of it,
Yeah.
but sometimes I'll hire someone out if it's like I just have a bunch of stuff I want to do all at once. I don't have the time to edit my own
Totally.
video.
Yeah.
Like I have my guy Biodegradable is he's editing the Punch the Keys for God's sake video right now while I'm working on the Ricky O video.
Right. Right.
So that's kind of though that like that's the occasion where I'll hire an editor.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. I that was one of those things that I had to bring a couple of people on to help me with editing stuff when it's like, if you want to do all this, it's all going to take time. Otherwise,
Yeah.
everything starts to fall behind because you just keep playing catch up with everything. And
Oh
it's,
yeah.
it's tough. Well, look,
It's
no, go ahead.
oh no, yeah, it's hard to relinquish that control too.
Yeah,
Because
really
it's like
tough.
Bio is a much better editor than I am,
Mm-hmm.
but like there'll be times where it's like he like doesn't do the music the exact way I would do the music and things like that. So it's like you kind of like you want to like micromanage everything, but then it's like wait, then I'm like defeating my purpose here.
Yeah, like you have to let go. Like you have to
Yeah.
let go and just go like, well, I would have done it differently. Let's see what people think. Whatever. It's not, it's not up to me anymore.
Yeah.
So look, you just did a video recently. I think your most recent one, maybe by the time this comes out, you will have already pumped out another one. But the story behind the poop window
Oh yeah.
photo, I found that fascinating. I thought that was great. And I'm a big fan too of you going down the rabbit hole of the internet war that existed between Slipknot fans and Limp Bizkit fans. I thought that was great. I thought that was a great sort of encapsulation of a period of time that people don't think
Yeah.
about.
Yeah, that's like what kind of opened that up for me. So that was I do a different I haven't done it in like a year, but I have a different series, Angel Fire Adventures, where it's kind of it's
Yes.
a little bit more laid back and it's not so much me just like writing about a story that happened, it'll just me like trying to dig up some old websites and looking through them. And what had happened was I had seen there's like this very iconic fucking drawing by Rob Correa of a crucified Fred Durst being attacked by all the members of Slipknot. I saw that image. I think I saw the image posted to Twitter, and it just opened up this like fucking this wormhole to a period in time where like that was like the war. Like if you were into that kind of music at all, it was like you were either a Slipknot fan or you're a Limp Bizkit fan, and you got to pick a side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Well, man, I would recommend people check you out if they haven't already. You can just search Whang or Justin Whang on YouTube. And you've been doing it since like 2016 or so, right? 2016, 2017?
Yeah,
Somewhere.
2015, 2016. I don't
Okay.
remember. It was one of those.
Well, there's like so many videos because that's the way. I didn't find out about your stuff really until I don't know, within the last year. And so like then I did what you said people do. I just started going through everything. And that's why I reached out because I'm like, this guy, I'm sitting here watching hours of his videos. I should just reach out and be like, hey, dude, you're doing good on your videos. So
Yeah, hell yeah. I appreciate it, man.
yeah, man, you're doing great. And I always get excited when there's a new video dropping. So subscribe to Wang's YouTube channel. And is there anything else you want to alert people to?
That's it. Watch the channel. Listen to my band Jinx.
Yes.
So it's a new metal band. I don't know if you guys like new metal, but a lot of people don't, but a lot of people do. So
yeah. So if you don't know for sure, like if you're like, I don't think I like new metal, but if you don't know,
Yeah.
Give it a try. Give it a try. Let's find out, you know? All right, man. I appreciate you hanging out, man. Thank you for the time. You're the man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man.
You got it.